Hi friends, it's Julie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally here with a new video for you guys. I know I haven't posted something in like 3 weeks now, I think, ever since I went on vacation. I've just been in a bit of a reading slump slash kind of filming slump, I guess. I don't know. I ended up DNFing a book over the last few weeks and then I just really couldn't get into something. I've just been having a really hard time. And then my oldest daughter just started all-day kindergarten last week, and so that just did not help my slump at all. You know, I've been pretty depressed since then. I've been trying to prepare myself for it. Like, I tried to prepare myself for it all summer long. Like, you knew the day was coming. And then it came, and I just haven't been ready. But I think I'm finally on, you know, the upward swing. I'm hoping, like, fingers crossed. But I also wanted to let you guys know, finally, who the winner of my 1K giveaway was. And that channel is Beacon Hill Books. So congratulations. I will be sending you a message here on YouTube. So be thinking about the books that you want me to send you. So yeah, once again, congratulations. But anyway, let's just talk about some of the books that I have been reading recently. So over the last 3 weeks, I've really only managed to finish 2 books. And the first one of those was Gone Missing by Linda Castillo. This is the 4th book in the Kate Burkholder series, which if you guys have been watching my channel, you'll know that I've really been enjoying this mystery series. I think it's so fantastic. I get sucked into every single one of these books. And like I said, the audiobooks of these are so fantastic. Like, I love the woman's voice who narrates them. It's just like so pleasant to my ears. But this mystery is centered around these Amish kids who all go missing, and the police feel like they're all connected somehow, even though they're taking place in all of these different communities. But what all of the kids have in common is they're all around the same age. And so that's the mystery in this one. We're trying to figure out what's happened to all of these kids. Are they connected? You know, things like that. And I enjoyed this one, but I didn't love it. It isn't my favorite in the series, and I don't really know why. Because, you know, it was pretty twisty. Like, there was an extra twist at the end, which I love, and Linda Castillo does those so well. But I think I'm just reading these books like a little too close together, because I'm noticing a little bit of like repetition. And you know, she brings up things that happened in the previous books, you know, to kind of like refresh your memory and things like that, which I totally understand when you're reading these books, you know, when they come out. It's probably been like a year or so since you read the last one, so a little bit of a refresher is nice. But I'm reading these books like back to back. So when those things start, you know, being repeated and things like that, I just get a little bit annoyed. So I think I need to just kind of take a break and then come back to the series, obviously, because I love it so much. So I'll probably pick up the next book here in a few months. And the other book that I managed to finish over the last few weeks was 99 Red Balloons by Elizabeth Carpenter. And this is a new psychological thriller that I believe is coming out August 24th, but I got approved for it over on NetGalley. And overall, I really enjoyed it. You know, this is her debut book, and I thought that the writing and stuff was pretty strong. My thing is it promised this big shocking twist, and I thought it was pretty predictable, like I had it figured out. But, you know, I do read a lot of psychological thrillers, so you know, maybe somebody who doesn't read as many as I do won't figure out the twist, but I still really enjoyed the writing, and I was sucked into this book like the entire time. And so I would definitely pick up another book by this author like in the future. But let me tell you a little bit about it. So this story, at the very beginning, this young girl named Grace, she's I believe 8 years old, is abducted on her way home from school. You know, she's walking home with her friends, and they stop in the store to get like an after school snack, and her friends leave and think that she's going to follow them, and somebody steals her while she's in the store. And throughout this book, we get multiple points of view, which I really love when a book does it. And this book does it pretty well. There was a few parts that were a little bit confusing, but I still think, you know, it gave you a pretty well-rounded story. And so part of the story we get, you know, from Grace's point of view as, you know, she's been taken. We get a few from the person who abducted her, and then the majority of the book is told through 2 perspectives, and one of those is Grace's aunt Stephanie, and Stephanie is staying with Grace's parents, and they're, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what happened to Grace, who took her, things like that. And then the other point of view is of this woman named Maggie, and she's an older woman, and her granddaughter was actually like abducted like 30 some years before this. And, you know, seeing this new case of this child who's been taken kind of brings up memories for Maggie, and, you know, she just kind of starts following the case and things like that. And stuff is revealed, from her past and things along those lines. So, like I said, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought that the writing was pretty strong. I wasn't surprised with the twist or anything like that. So I think I would recommend this book, but maybe not if you read a lot of psychological thrillers, because I don't think you're going to be very shocked. And now moving on to the book that I DNF'd over the last few weeks, and that was The Deep by Nick Cutter. So I was really excited to read this book, guys. Like, I read The Troop a few months ago, and it's become like my favorite horror novel ever. And this was actually the pick for April from Getting Hygge with It, a reading group on Goodreads, which is called like Dying to Read. And I will leave all of the information for that group down below in case you want to join us, because it's going to be really fun. We're reading horror and psychological thrillers and things like that. And this was the first pick, and I was really excited because I had loved The Troop so much. And so maybe I just went into this with too high of expectations. I'm not really sure, but I just couldn't get into this. I couldn't get into it. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about anything that was going on. And I don't know if it's just because of the reading slump I'm in or what, but this just isn't my type of horror. I'm into more like realistic horror, so like stalkers, serial killers, plagues, viruses, like things like that. That's the type of stuff that scares me, things that I feel like could actually happen. And this one, I don't know, I just couldn't get behind it. It's kind of like more like monstery type horror. Not even really sure if that's a thing. And at least that's the vibe I was getting from this book through the first like 200 pages. So I could be completely wrong. Like, it could turn into something completely different. But that's just kind of like the vibe I was getting from it. And so I didn't find it very scary, and I just really couldn't get into it, unfortunately. But I do still plan on picking up Nick Cutter's other book. I believe it's called Little Heaven, because I do want to give him another chance. And I will pick up other books of his in the future when he writes them, because I love The Troop so much. And so I'm sure another one of his books I will fall in love with as well. And now I will tell you guys about all the books that I'm currently reading, because I have a really big stack here. I find that when I'm going through a bit of a slump, I just kind of pick up like random things until I find something that helps pull me out of my slump. But I am still reading Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, and I'm about 400 pages into this now, so I'm like halfway, and it's just absolutely incredible. I know that I've said that 1,000 times. Something that I think is so fantastic about Robin Hobb's writing is I can pick up one of her books like this one and read a few chapters and then put the book down and not read it again for a week or so. And as soon as I pick the book up again and start reading it, I'm immediately sucked back into the story, into the world. I can visualize everything. She's just such an incredible writer. I don't think any other author has ever done that for me. And she just completely blows me away every time. And so I think once I finally finish this trilogy, I'll do like a whole trilogy review, like non-spoiler, because I want other people to read this book, and just so I can talk to you guys about it and hopefully convince you to pick it up if you haven't already. And then the other book I'm reading is this huge graphic novel, which is My Favorite Thing is Monsters by Emil Ferris. And guys, this is pretty great. Like, I don't think I've ever read a graphic novel like this. Like, the story is so well developed. There's just so much to it, and the characters, like, typically when I read a graphic novel, like, I just fly through it in like an hour, because the story is just kind of simple and it's just really easy to read. And this one is just there's just so much in it. And the artwork is just like absolutely like incredible. The way things are drawn, like it looks like with pencil, and this is made to look like a notebook. It's just so cool. And this story is about this young girl named Karen who appears to be like part werewolf, although no one ever really talks about that. At least they haven't yet. And at the very beginning of this book, this woman is murdered who lives in her apartment complex, and Karen was kind of close to her. They were pretty good friends, and so she decides she wants to figure out like who murdered this woman, because the police haven't figured it out yet. And so there's like a little bit of a murder mystery kind of element to the story, but I think this is probably just more like historical fiction. It's set in the 1960s, and it talks about a lot of the stuff that was going on then, like the civil rights movement and things like that. Like Martin Luther King Jr. is shot in this, and they talk about that and stuff. But one thing I wasn't expecting was there's a pretty big World War II historical fiction element to this story, and I really wasn't expecting that. And I'm not the biggest fan of World War II historical fiction, so when I got to that part, it was a pretty big part. I set the book down for a few days, but I plan on finishing it very soon, and I'm really excited, to see how the story is going to end, at least in this one. I believe that the sequel is coming out very soon, so I'll have to request that one from the library soon too. Another book I have started is Backstage Pass by Olivia Cunning. This is an erotic novel that I'm reading for my book club, and I just remembered the other day that like book club is in a couple weeks and I have 2 books to read, so I thought I better get cracking on these. And so I started this one. I've only read about 50 pages, and so far there's already been like a really graphic, crazy sex scene, like in the first like 30 pages. But this book is about this woman named Myrna who is a human sexuality professor. And at the beginning of the book, she's giving like a lecture somewhere or like a speech or something like that. And she's staying in this hotel. And when she's on her way back up to her room, she notices this like rock band that she recognizes in the hotel bar. And so she goes over and like starts flirting with them. And then she invites one of them back up to her room. But one thing I couldn't get past was the guy that she invited back up to her room was so drunk that he went to the bathroom and threw up in the bathroom. And then she asked him to come up to her room with her, and I just kept thinking his mouth is going to taste and smell like vomit. Like I couldn't get past it. And they still went up there and had like crazy sex, and I don't know. I'm a little nervous but a little intrigued about what the rest of this book is going to hold, I guess. And surprisingly, it's not written like terribly. Like the writing isn't that bad, which I'm pretty surprised about, but it also like has me even more intrigued. So I will definitely let you guys know what I think when I finish this one. And the last 2 books that I'm currently reading are just ones that I have only read a few pages in. And the first one of those is Anatomy of Innocence, Testimonies of the Wrongfully Convicted. It's by a whole bunch of different authors. I just randomly picked this book up from the library. It's nonfiction. I just thought it sounded really interesting. It's about just different cases of people who were convicted of a crime and they weren't guilty, and you know they had to serve time and things like that. And then this group called the Innocence Project, I believe is what it's called, they work like pro bono and they got these people out. And it's told like in kind of like short story format, and every single one of the story, I believe there's like 15, are all written by a famous like mystery writer, although these stories are true. So I just think that that's really interesting. It has pretty good reviews on Goodreads, and so I find things like this incredibly terrifying but also very interesting, so I'm really excited to read this one. And then the final book I'm currently reading is one I've only read like 2 pages of, and that is The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. And I'm buddy reading this with Shaun from Eclectic Reads. I'm really excited to read this though, because I have just been so drawn to this book recently. Like I've been really, really wanting to pick it up, which is kind of crazy because I'm in a bit of a slump and this is like 1,000 pages. So we'll see, but so far I'm really enjoying the writing and I'm really looking forward to buddy reading this with Shaun. So those are all the books that I have read recently and what I'm currently reading. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, because I would love to know. But I think that's it for the day, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again very soon. Happy reading. Bye.